All right, everybody, welcome to the podcast, the Blue Collar Trade Talks podcast, hosted on the Glass Guys YouTube channel. Special guest today. This was kind of pushed through fast because I had such an amazing time on the podcast, on the BizMindz interviews podcast.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you go ahead and explain to everybody who are you?
Okay. Yeah. So we own a few companies in the digital space. One of them is a digital magazine, and then we have a creative design company, and then we have a digital marketing company focuses on campaigns and all kinds of lead generation, and then we have the podcast, which we meet a ton of people. We met you there, and yeah, we're behind right now. Multiple businesses when it comes to digital, their online presence. So we're happy to be helping out.
I can't wait to unpack some of those businesses because there's one that we talked about that I think a lot of people want to know about. What's your name?
Gonzalo Torres, and I've been in business for many years, different industries, mainly the food industry. Learned so much, tough industry, but it taught me a lot. And now I get to, do what a lot of people were doing with me, were helping me, but I get to do it with different other businesses. So.
And your brother, older or younger?
Younger brother.
Okay.
Rodrigo.
I assumed that, but I didn't want to say that. And you were also in the food business?
Yeah. So my brother and I were both in the food industry, and we had that location for almost 9 years, 18 employees. When we started, it was just us and our parents. So it was the four of us, really putting in a bunch of hours those first 3 years, doing everything, every position. And the goal was always to grow with employees and people. And, we had the chance to do that. We got up to 18 employees. And it was definitely a great learning experience in business. Being in the food industry, like my brother said, it's a tough industry to be in, and I think that we made a lot of mistakes at the beginning in that industry and with that business that helped us going into the digital space because we knew what not to do, what to do, lots of systems. We learned a bunch about systems within the food industry. Which helped out a ton when we started to get employees on board, and that's what I fell in love with when it came to business was the system side of it. How do you create better and better systems that allow you to continue growing within your business?
I have a lot of room to grow in that aspect, and I'm understanding the importance of it. What made you going from being in the restaurant industry, talk about 180 degrees, to potentially becoming a digital marketer or advertising agency? Like, what was the catalyst? How did you even think that was a possibility?
Yeah, so great question. We did everything internal. So
at the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay.
So my brother, he's been coding since he was little, and then he's been doing design for a long time. So he designed everything, the logo, all the branding design, the menus, digital menus. And one of the things that we were selling was wedding cakes and big custom cakes. It was good because when we added that in as something within our company, it allowed us to cash flow because people would pay a year in advance for a wedding cake, and it was high ticket. So I would start to launch, and this was about 7 years ago, 7 years ago, I would start to launch ads on social media, Facebook, Instagram, for cakes, for wedding cakes and custom cakes. So I would launch the ad, and then the next day I'd go into the office and had a bunch of people requesting more information or, hey, I have this birthday coming up. And then the next day I was just on calls with people. And that's how I really got into the ad side. And my brother was doing a lot of design, web design. And really the thing that made me think that, wow, this might be a business is our friend next door that worked next door. He was starting a business up in Estero in the food industry. And he said, hey, you guys do your social media so well. Can you start mine up and do the first month for me, and we'll see where it goes. And he paid me $300 to do it. So then I turned to my brother and I was like, this is crazy, and this was, I didn't know of any agencies at the time.
What year are we talking about?
What year was this? This was like at least 6 years ago. So
7 years, probably.
6-7 years ago. I didn't know of much agencies, at least at the time, and especially locally.
Yeah.
So my brother, when we talked about this yesterday, he said, I don't think that people are going to keep, that might be a good one-time thing.
Yeah, man. Because when I started, my first company was a web development company. So it was so different than social media. Social media wasn't really a service, right? So I remember we were at the office at the bakery once, and Rodrigo told me, I think, a lot of people need help with their social media. And I was like, man, I don't see people paying for social media. And now we're behind 60 companies, around 60 companies that we manage their socials. And it's just crazy. It's something that everybody should be doing, but they shouldn't do it. They should delegate, and they should keep building a team so that they have more time to grow the business. So that's when we come in with the whole automations and all that stuff.
And so how did you make the transition? So you saw the opportunity while running the business.
Saw the opportunity. We started to grow the business. COVID happened. COVID, the first 2 years of COVID kind of helped us because we adapted well. We added in a late night service. We'd never been in the delivery business before. And
That's another learning curve. Right?
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah. And just to adapt and do something, we added this late night service from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. And it was a late night menu, free delivery. We went up to 7 delivery drivers within the first week and a half, and it did well. But of course, more and more places started opening up. But then we transitioned those employees from delivery drivers to internal. And then we kept hiring. And then when we decided to close down the business in 21, because we started, as we were growing, the first place that went was Nordstrom at Waterside. Their e-bar and the little e-bars in Nordstrom in Tampa, Miami, we provided their product. And losing accounts like that, and then we had high overhead with payroll and so on and so forth. It was a good climb, but then it kind of started snowballing down, which we said, hey, you know what? It's probably best just to get out of this business. And it wasn't what we wanted to do at all. I never saw myself. When you're in business, sometimes you're so tunnel vision that you never think about how your life will change so drastically if you're doing something for so long, and then all of a sudden you're out of that business, and now you have to figure out what to do, type of thing.
Yeah, and it was what I've learned about that industry is that, and of course the path is different for everybody, but as you grow, it's one of those businesses that you need a lot of funding, to keep growing. So, you don't have, like, banks don't see you as high risk. That industry is super high risk for banks. So you need to get hard money lending. And when you get hard money lending, it's a problem because you could get it screwed up. And we got screwed up by a funding company and made us close, like, from one day to the other. So,
had you already started acquiring other businesses to do their social media while this was happening?
No. So Cheyenne, which is my fiance, my partner in the business, we registered the LLC in early 21, just thinking because she wanted to do something different from what she was doing. And we said, we'll just grow this on the side. But I was so involved in the food industry. It's a industry that very consuming, and I just never had time to do anything. So we had it registered in 21, but we never moved it. But in 21, in September, we closed down. So we looked at each other and we're like, what are we going to do? So I went into property management. My brother went into banking. And
I used to be in banking for many years.
That's why he always wears the sport coat.
yeah, so he went into banking and I went into property management. Cheyenne got laid off in 2020.
You both were working for somebody at this time, or was your own property management?
After
Working
10
for
years.
somebody.
After 10 years, yeah.
I was lucky. I never worked for anybody. I was lucky. I got into business at 18. My brother, opened up the business a year and a half in. I joined at 18 years old full time. And I've only worked for somebody else for eight months of my life. And that was from the time that we closed to halfway through the year last year. And with that said, Cheyenne, my fiance, got laid off. She'd never been laid off before. Talk about when it rains, it pours, right?
Yeah, you must have thought your world was crashing.
Oh, yeah. And she got laid off in January of last year. And the goal, the idea was to grow the business. And I told her, don't go work for anybody else. Just do this. And I'll go work for somebody else until we're doing well enough, until I can get out and join you full time. And kind of making a long story short, I had the year prior to that, my confidence was really high because we had raised money, we had investors, and I feel that if you can raise money, you can do any type of sales, in my opinion. But I had really high confidence. And when we closed the business down and I went to work for somebody else, Cheyenne and I would try to go pitch companies on, just door to door. And I could not bring myself to go open the door. My confidence was like,
wow,
on the floor.
Why do you think that is?
I think it was because of
It was a hit.
It was a really hard hit,
Yeah.
and it was a really drastic change for me and for everybody in our lives, because you're so used to doing something for so long, and the exit is always, everybody always thinks about the multi-million-dollar exit type of thing, right? You never think about crashing, like that type of exit. And that was the exit that we had. So I think that's the reason why my confidence was low and I couldn't walk in. I would tell Cheyenne, just you go in, I just can't. And I would just say, I really couldn't go in. And this is to pitch people on, social media. I was raising money and talking to people about raising money and actually raising money. And I couldn't walk in. But then, you fast forward a little bit to the next year, and I would tell Cheyenne, I had one day off when I was in property management. That was on Wednesdays. And I would tell her, hey, I'm going to go to the mall, or I'm going to go to different plazas. I'm just going to go pitch. I don't care about selling anything. I just need to build my confidence back up. I was looking more for those no's, and just to build up my confidence to what I'm saying, what am I saying wrong, what am I saying good, how can I approach it not so salesy, so on and so forth. So I just needed to build my confidence back up, and that's what I would do. And it's funny because I wanted the no's, but I didn't want them, and I was getting harsh no's. Like,
Give me one of the worst ones.
Oh, as soon as I'd walk in, we don't want to buy anything. No. I'm like, geez, I must come off like a really salesy. So then I started to switch my approach and so on. But that's kind of how it started. And in June, we had grown the business to a point where I could get out, and I joined Cheyenne full time. And then a month later, I told my brother, hey, we need help. get out of the bank. He got out, and then a month after that, Joanna, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, she got out of what she was doing, and then that's how we built the team last year. Was us four, and then this year we have added on 4 more, and we're building a really strong and really great team right now.
Using the systems that we learned on the previous business, because the previous business, it almost looked like a franchise, how everything was systemized, and that was the only way for you to, if you wanted to scale, that was the only way, to systemize everything. So we grabbed those systems and that mentality, and we put it into this business, and that's what I think made us grow so fast in this industry.
There's so much to unpack on here, because I do want to give a shout out to Cheyenne. Was she closing deals when you were going through there? Because I've been in that spot where you're at too, which we could talk about. But was she having any success doing her door to door?
Unfortunately, no, because it was just tough, and
it is tough.
It was super tough, but what we started to do was we started to go. Well, even when I was in property management, we would go to a ton of networking events, and that's how we started to pick up one client and another client. We did a lot of work for free, just to build up a resume. We started working with a local print magazine, and we built up their digital really strong, and that was a good, like a good trampoline to bounce off of. With the type of relationship that we had, it was pro bono work, but eventually people started seeing like, who's doing your guys' stuff, and people would know it's us, and that's how we started to get a few more clients. So that's how really we started picking up on the clientele, and we started to grow to a point where, in June I decided to get out and join Cheyenne full time. My brother a month later, Joanna the month after that. So this was all last year.
It was fast.
It was really fast. And I think that the reason why is, and I mention this sometimes to people, that if it was just like Cheyenne and I could have just looked at each other and said, hey, we're doing pretty good numbers a month. This is great for us, just us two to live pretty comfortable. But I have, and my brother does as well, the vision of growing a strong company. And I'm okay with letting go, trading dollars for time. So I told my brother, hey, maybe some people maybe thought it was too early to bring people on, but I was like, no way. I told my brother, hey, come on. And then when I brought him on, made more money. And then the same thing when we brought on Joanna, even more money, because the team started to, everybody has a role, everybody has a system. We all work good together.
Do you guys work good together? Because you hear a lot of people. I mean, I'm in a family business, and I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else. But I think a majority of people would say, there's no way I can work with my brother. I would kill him.
I think that we have a great, weird, not normal relationship when it comes to business. We understand each other a lot, and we've been in business for many years now. So I like to listen to everything that he's got to say. He listens to what I have to say, and then because we're both going towards the same place, and I think when that's put first, and you don't think about anything else, no egos, nothing. I think that helps a lot. It's not me against him; it's both against whatever we want to accomplish. So I think that has helped so much. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the digital marketing space. Yeah. There's a lot of small business. Small business is the backbone of this country. There's a lot of small businesses here in Southwest Florida that understand the power of social media, but have not adopted it yet. Because they're afraid of being judged or however they deploy it, or they just don't know anybody. They don't even know where to start, because you got a website, you got social media channels. What type of social media do I do? How do I get customers? You see a lot of businesses that are going through this. How do you even get started on something like that? Where do you start?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it just depends on where the company is at. So I think something that's really unique about our agency and what we do is that we were in business prior to serving business owners. So we understand where businesses or business owners may be because we were there. We've experienced a lot of different financial standpoints in business. The first 2 years, we shouldn't have been paying anybody because we couldn't have paid anybody when we were in business those first couple of years to do our stuff. So we understand where people are at, but I do think that for every business, especially small business, the most important way to get your business out there is through social media. I don't think there's anything that tops that or can beat it. And because that's where consumer attention is. So you just have to ask yourself as a small business, what do you want currently? If you need ROI fast and you want new clients and your service base and so on, then go the ad campaign route where you're launching a campaign in hopes of people that need the service submitting their information, building, you start to build up data, you get on the phone with that person, talk about the service, and you see an ROI that way. But it's a caveat with small businesses because sometimes small businesses think that it's a magic pill. When there's so many layers to everything, there's your website, your Google listing, your Facebook, your Instagram. And I think those 4 platforms are a great foundation. You can expand from there and it's great to be everywhere. But I think if you nail those 4, you're really seeing good results digitally. So it just depends on where you're at within the business. So if you want new clients right away, I'd probably recommend lead generation. Maybe put your dollars into that type of advertising. If you're trying to build more brand, do more social media content. That's the thing with social media content today is a lot of companies will go onto social media, but they're expecting a ROI right away from the social media. And you shouldn't look at it from that standpoint because it compounds in the long term. That's that type of game that you play. And you're paying like the CPM on these social channels are so minimal compared to anything else. Like the cost per 1,000 eyeballs that you're getting on these social channels are so minimal compared to TV, radio, print. So the question is why wouldn't you be on these social channels? So it really just depends on the business, where they're at. Some businesses are further down the road than others, and we join them. They may have somebody that's handling their website and their social. They may need to launch ad campaigns, and then that's where we fill in the gap and we'll launch ad campaigns for them. Or
How many small businesses do you see still nowadays that doesn't have a website, or it's one of these websites from like 99, and I just saw one the other day. It's a high-end builder, and I went to go just kind of get some information, see the About Us page, and I'm looking at the website. I'm like, this thing isn't even formatted for my phone. Like this is an old website.
Yeah. The question really is how many websites are performing, right? Because not all websites are built to perform, and nowadays you want to get leads through your website. You want to get data through your website. So what we see a lot, it's websites that are built just for information, text and image, right? But we really believe that your website should be working for you. Every single business, their website should be working for them. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the first questions we asked any business owners when they come to the office is, how many leads are you getting through your website? Like if your website is not giving you like 10 leads a month at least, then there's work to do, and that's just organically, without any.
That's how, no bells and whistles at all.
Yeah.
The website should be designed in a way where you, at a minimum, you should be getting 10 clicks, 10 requests of
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
a month.
yeah, for sure.
And like you mentioned, a high-end builder, but their digital presence doesn't look that way. That's usually the first impression for a client is digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And it does, and sometimes certain business owners will say, yeah, but my clientele isn't on there. They're on there.
Yeah.
Like everybody's on digital. It doesn't matter if you're selling $1 product or $100 million product. They're
Nowadays.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
100%.
yeah, nowadays. So a great example of somebody that's doing really good right now is the jet business. If you search the jet business, he sells private jets, and he's online doing great.
Oh, that's the name of the company, the Jet Business.
Yeah. So they're based out in London, I believe.
Oh.
And they're going to open up a store in New York.
And the reason he mentions that is because people sometimes say my clientele is not on TikTok. This guy is selling $50 million jets.
Yeah, he's selling,
On
and
TikTok.
and he had somebody walk in talking about, I saw you on TikTok, so now I'm here and I want to, because it's just, you can't close those doors, right? That's where consumer attention is. And digitally, I think that's one thing that we do focus on a lot is every year these platforms change and consumer attention changes. So the way that you would view a website just 5 years ago, it was for more credibility, for you wanted to learn more, read more. But today, because there's so many other touch points before somebody gets to your website, like social media, a Google listing, so many touch points, by the time somebody's landing on your site, they're 70% of the way ready to take action on your site.
And so you need to have that mechanism in place to be able to accept that action.
Exactly. So it has
It's
to be
almost like a funnel.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Everything should be built like a funnel.
Without spoiling your business, but giving some people maybe a little teaser, if what are some common things that we should be seeing? If I showed you 10 websites right now, you could probably identify, oh, okay, here's one that's good. They've done this, this, and this. I know they're accepting business. What are some of those things?
A couple that we always go to is right on the homepage if there's a call to action button. And usually if that button's asking something. So free consultation or, something along those lines.
Live chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Is live chat important?
Live chat's good, but you want a button where you're going to generate data. Live chat, it's like almost like when people land in your inbox and you respond back to them and they never respond. It's because you don't have any data on them. You can't keep, you can't call. So it's easy for them to ignore you. The same thing with the live chat. Live chat's good, but right on that homepage, I'd put a button. And the second thing is usually the contact section. So we'll click usually the fields that have to be filled out. If there's no phone number, if it's been built without having to submit their number, that's a huge mistake. But that goes to show when was this site built, because consumer attention again online was different back then. But web designers are still building that way today. But that's a problem because they're not thinking about the business side. They're just thinking about the design side. And you can't really do anything with the lead that submits name and email. You can't really do much. So usually that's a big indicator. Or sometimes they'll have all the fields, even phone number. And let's say we'll type in our name and click submit, and the phone number is not required.
So you're missing information.
So again, not built for that
Okay,
business.
what about the other side of it? From a consumer side, if I go to a website, very informative, I go contact page, and usually I always scroll all the way to the bottom to see if your number's not like personal, but the business number, in case I want to, sometimes if I got to get something off my chest, I don't want to just submit it through an email. I want to talk to somebody so I know it lands. How do you feel about companies that don't put their number on there, almost because they don't want those calls? That's how I feel like. This is shady.
Yeah.
You're running from problems by not putting your number. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah. So they do it like that for a reason. Like we built his websites for the digital marketing company, and he does not have any phone number there.
Why?
And the
Originally, though,
Yeah, originally.
originally it was
Why?
a website that Gonzalo built out a site that was
We're
portfolio, a bunch of information, and our phone number, everything. And we gave that site a year, and I didn't get much traction through the site. And then we sat down and we said, hey, why don't we switch up the site to be more
like a funnel.
And ever since we've done that,
Non-stop.
leads.
So
coming
leaving
through.
the number off is
Yeah, because if people really want to find your number, they're gonna find it, but they're gonna submit their information because they want to get contact. Like, it's almost like business cards, right? You don't want
I
to
don't
give
use
out
the
your
business
business
cards.
cards. You want people's information. So what we do at events, we have business cards sometimes in the pocket, but we never pull them out, because once you give it out, they'll never call you. But you do want their information. So what we do is we'll pull out the phone and we just send them a text.
And also our
I love that.
The
Yeah.
Google listing also has the number, so people can find the number pretty quickly on social media too. But the website, we built it where it says "Speak to our team today." You click the button, and you have to submit certain. We just got a lead today where I can see how long they've been in business for, what they're doing digitally.
Yeah.
All these
copies, it's super important.
Yeah, the copy on a
Yeah.
website is very important. But I got on a call with the owner today, and it's in the auto industry, and I already know a lot of things going into that call, so it saves time for myself, the owner,
and him.
Oh, yeah,
it's better for everybody.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So it makes it easier to get on the call. But yeah, maybe it doesn't have to be. It doesn't, like all the websites that we've built out. I think mine and maybe yours now are the only ones that don't have a number. All the websites we built out for clients, they do have, on the contact section the number, but then they also have the call to actions everywhere,
Yeah.
and it looks like a funnel. So they're performing really well.
Just so anybody who might be watching this for the first time, what is a funnel? Because you hear everybody, all these big
Yeah.
web designers talk. What is a funnel in the digital world?
It's like a direct sell, right? So sometimes people build it as a landing page, where you run an ad and you land into a landing page. It's a one page with it could be maybe a 3-page funnel, where you put all the information, the call to actions. It will take you to the sales page, and from the sales page, it will take you to the confirmation page, or the pay page. So it's basically a 3-step. But once you go into the second page, there's no menus, and we don't put any menus so that you can go back, to the homepage of the 3-page, if you want to call it landing page or a 3-page website. So everything starts reducing to a point where it's pretty much forcing you to buy.
And anybody that's acquiring business now, not through social or through their website, if they engaged with you and developed the process, funnel, did the whole shebang, can see almost an immediate return on investment just for foot traffic?
Well,
Or
Yeah.
not foot traffic, but traffic.
Traffic, 100%.
yeah.
Traffic, 100%. Just the actual ROI on spend, depending on what we're doing. We always do 3-month agreements. So 90 days gives us a good amount of time to understand where everything is at. Usually within that first month, people will start to get new clients. But it's interesting because now there's so many tools out there where, let's say we're landing people on your website, and let's say we land 100 people on your website today, and nobody took action on your site. So then the question would be, well, why are people walking in? It's almost like if people walked in here, why are people walking in and not purchasing? And digitally, we're lucky enough where there are tools where we can, let's say you land on the website, I start to screen record your activity on the site. So I can see where you're clicking, where you're scrolling, where you're getting off of.
And because you're so in tune with the business, you can almost tell what they're looking for.
Right. So if I see you getting off somewhere, I might put a button right there, depending on why it is that I sent you there. If I sent you there for a new client offer, I might put the button offer right there. So I can get all this data and really see how does my clientele interact digitally with
Your
a business
behavior.
like So all of these things are things that matter so much.
And we used to do this physically at the
Yeah.
when we were in the food industry. We would look at people how they walked into our place, and then how they moved, what they looked, what they were buying. So it got to a point that we took out all the tables. We were like, let's just make this a walkthrough place,
Like in and out.
in and out,
In and out
and people
service.
would just roll through. We triple sales.
The
when we did that.
ticket went higher because people knew that they couldn't just sit down and have a dollar coffee and spend 1 hour inside the location and just consume, let's say, a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
So because they were taken to go, they knew, okay, if I'm taking to go, I might as well take more to go. So the
For
ticket,
somebody else.
Wow.
but then the way that it was placed, it was the menu was on the top. You had like showcases here and showcases here. The highest ticket items or higher ticket items were right next. The register was in the center, so they was right next at, so people looked, and that was the higher ticket items. So it was all placed like that. And then you apply that same thing to digital. That really
That's
is.
sexy. I like that. I mean, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's really heady stuff.
Yeah, and it works exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
Like we tested different things, and we see that people act the same way digitally than in person. Like if you stop talking to someone for a long time, sometimes that person won't say hi, right? Unless you go to it, or maybe they'll see you at the store and they'll pretend they didn't see you, right? It's the same thing on socials. If you think about it, you start not liking people's stuff, they stop liking yours. And for some reason, you meet them again at an event, you talk to them for 5 minutes, and the next thing you walk out and you have a whole bunch of likes from that person. Because what we notice is that people need interaction at all times, and people like to know they're part of things at all times. When you keep them engaged like that in real life, you keep them engaged digitally. So everything works the same.
That's an interesting observation. But now that you mentioned that, I've seen that happen, and I've also been that person. If I was liking someone's stuff and then I meet them and maybe I got turned off or rubbed the wrong way, yeah, I'm not liking it anymore. It's no different.
Yeah.
Let's ask this. When you were in the food industry, you saw some other things come up in your life and you adapted and you moved. Now you're in the digital space. What are some of the other things that you're adding or see? For instance, I was talking with Miss Anna regarding impressions, and I said, at some point, somebody who's doing social media and garnering attention is going to be getting enough impressions that it's going to garner someone's attention to say, hey, I want to align, maybe I want to pay them, maybe I want to give them something that can be a part of their content because I want to expand our demographic. And so maybe aligning ourselves with Keith or aligning ourselves with you guys will allow us to get more customers for whatever it is I'm doing. Do you also help companies? So you're managing a couple businesses, a lot of businesses, social now. Maybe one of them's taking off and you say, hey, while this is taking off, I see some other synergy with another business that we're doing, and they might retain your services to act as an influencer or a brand ambassador. Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen any of this yet or been looking at that?
I mean, we've done it a lot with the companies that we work with. Like we connect companies a lot. If there's an opportunity, is that what you mean?
Yeah, or even monetizing
The viewership.
Let's use their viewership.
Yeah, we do that.
And their audience.
Yeah, we'll do that. We do it. We don't do it so much between the companies, but we'll do it with Naples Tonight, which is the digital magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, so if it's getting if there's a really good piece of content that's going out, it's informative, it's engaging, then we may collab it with Naples Tonight, which is a local digital magazine here, and then the views will go.
This is a perfect example. So if I was to go on Naples Tonight, and let's say there's a certain individual here in Southwest Florida that's a night owl. this person might be at every restaurant and goes to every club and they're posting and they get a lot of following. And I meet this person and say, listen, I see you all over Naples tonight. I want to give you some of my architectural gear to wear. And should you post while wearing this on the Naples Tonight, I will pay you X number of dollars to do this. Do you see a lot of people latching on to influencers to buy almost the ability to jump on their coattails?
I think it just depends on the person that you're doing that with. So if like an example would be, if it's Naples Tonight, I don't know how much that audience is going to actually take action for that. But it depends on who are you putting that shirt on.
Yeah.
Right? So if that person's audience resonates with your audience, then yeah, maybe that's a good brand deal to do.
How about NIL agreements? You know, that's big in college. Now college athletes are allowed to get paid on their name,
awesome.
image, and likeness. But they also are on social media. So now you might have a local FGCU student that's not going to be playing a professional sport, but while they're in college, they got a big following.
There's one at FGCU that's doing really good numbers right now.
Tell us, what do you mean?
So he was a walk-on.
For what sport?
Basketball.
Okay, he's a basketball player at FGCU.
Basketball player.
Dunk City.
Yep, basketball player at FGCU. Was a walk-on, and I think he was doing $20,000 a month or something, 15, 20 grand a month.
Wait. There's a business, a local business or a national business that's paying this individual.
Based on, the deals that he has going on. I don't know how many exactly he has, but there's businesses, that will pay that amount. Now, I don't know if the full 20 grand is from one business, but I know that's what it's totaling up to. And like you said, this is somebody that may or may not go to the pros, but while you're in college, you're getting that type of
while
money.
You're relevant. He's relevant
Exactly.
right now, and he's seeking attention, and there's a lot of people
Exactly.
watching.
Exactly. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and sometimes influencers, you can, depending on the audience, you can land a really good deal on the business side for the business, where make, depending on where they're at, but their price sheets, some of them it's like, whoa, that's really affordable for the amount of engagement you have.
New engagement too. It might be someone they've never were able to get in front of, but they've identified that audience would be good for our brand.
Yeah.
We need to align ourselves with this basketball player.
Well, we did that. I think I told you earlier today when we were on the phone call, and we did that with a custom cake and an influencer here locally, and it didn't really do much for us.
Tell us the story.
Yeah, so there was an influencer that was hitting 200K, 200,000 followers on Instagram, and I reached out and said, hey, we should do, like a big custom cake with the 200 and the letter K, and as a collab. And I told my brother, and I think you weren't a big fan of doing that in the first place, right? Yeah, so he wasn't a big fan of doing it in the first place, and we got probably one follow from that.
Okay, so you recognize a social media person that's got some massive attention locally. You said, hey, they're about to hit 200,000. We have this bakery. Let's bake this big cake, put 200K on it, get this person in here. Yay, congratulations. And hopefully all their followers will want to come buy cakes.
Right.
That was the plan, right?
Right, yeah, that was the plan. And that didn't happen at all. It was the complete opposite. But it just goes to show there's so many layers to social media. Sometimes you'll have somebody with a big following that doesn't know how to monetize or move the following. And that's a problem when you have companies trying to reach out, because then that's the impression,
There's a bigger problem now with the followers,
Yeah, and there is, and we'll get into it. But maybe it was a little bit of that was our fault, in the sense of maybe we could have kept doing a little more and getting a little more in front of that audience, because we only did a one-time collab. Maybe the following collabs didn't have to be so move so many pieces. We had people baking and doing, like, employees actually spending time
Is it
doing
like a
this.
Mr. Beast type of piece of content that you did? Was it a long form or?
It was, so the collab that we did with this influencer, it was an actual carving of 200K. It was really big.
Yeah.
And
She was, I think, like sitting.
yeah, she was
on-
sitting down and she had the 200K, right? And that's how she celebrated her 200K post on social media. Maybe what I was saying is maybe we could have done a couple more, like get in front of that audience a little more and actually gather data to see how that's performing. But of course, on the flip side, you're in business owners almost never have the time to
Yeah, of
like
course.
think like this.
Especially knowing you're not getting paid. If it's a long game play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it was early. This was years ago too. There wasn't so much things like that going on. So, but yeah, I think those types of deals are great if you find somebody that it works with. The one thing that I would say is try it out, give it some time, for sure, because these things take time.
Yeah, you can analyze things in 15, 20, 30 days.
So
You
we
gotta let it
signed a student. He was actually the first student in the state of Florida to sign an NLL agreement, and his name is Peter Simmons. He plays football at the University of Michigan. They got a big game coming up, and we signed him. The first year was available. It happened to be his freshman year. And we did it because we know the family and we wanted the news media buzz, which we got. We had every news station, when we announced it, because he was the first one, came to us. We had all this prime time during the news hour, sports broadcast, all this free advertising. Selfishly, because we were paying so little to this, and he's such a good individual, we said, geez, if this kid goes pro, hopefully this is something he'll never forget. Like, they took care of me when I was in the beginning. No one believed in me. So we're like, okay, we'll ride his coattails. Mm-hmm. But really, it was expanding our market reach, because there's people that might not be enjoying my content but want to follow his football career. And we would be sending him swag and still do to this day. And that's worked out well for us. It was just another way to get our name out there. Again, seeking attention. We're trying to get attention.
Yeah.
And that worked out well. I don't know if a lot of people are really taking advantage of that. And I don't know how much the college students are actively looking to do that, because you don't need to be a big-time celebrity to garner attention.
Right.
No.
There's big opportunity there, I think, for everybody that wants to get involved in that. The same way how influencers didn't know how to monetize, and then you have business people that come in and help them do that and get them to that point where they can monetize. I'm sure that's already happening with these college athletes. Most of the times, you have an influencer, and if it's a big one, they have a team of people on their stuff. It's a lot of layers before you think you're talking to them, or they're posting, or it's their copy here and there, but they have a team that's actually posting that stuff and writing out the copy. It sounds like them, it feels like them, but there's a lot of opportunity everywhere, really. And the same thing would apply to the college athletes. I'm sure that it might be really hard for them to know, okay, how do I monetize this? What's my worth? What's my value? And then you have somebody that's good in business and understands the platforms and what it costs to get in front of 1,000 eyeballs. And then they start, partnering up with these athletes and really take that to the next level on the monetizing side.
Yep.
So what's in store for 2024 for you guys? What do you have a vision of anything, any growth, any big plans?
Yeah. We want to keep growing what we're doing now, keep growing, with different businesses. We're planning we started in one of the offices. We then took 3 offices, and we're planning to take, hopefully, that whole corner of the second floor as we keep growing. But I think any step that we're taking, we're always looking at systems where we can keep growing and make sure that everything is working the same way. We can put out tons of content, and we don't need a ton of people. Everything is getting automated and almost feel like, because we put a lot of content out, and sometimes, like, even friends, you guys spend a lot of time online, and we really don't. We automate a lot of things. So, but it feels like we're posting.
It does.
Yeah. So I think the people that normally the people that post the most are the people that spend the less online, because they already figure out how to do that, you know. And I think that's big when it comes to content. I think content compounds, and everything we're doing, we're trying to, like right now we just hired a full-time videographer, and he's documenting everything, like even conversations, just so that we could people get to know you, and people, like we met so many people this year, and I think that's the best way to grow businesses. So for the next years to come, we just want to keep expanding what we're doing, and those systems just keep making them big.
Can we talk about one of your clients ish? Are we allowed to bring that up here? Because I think it's such a cool conversation to have, because there's so much mysterious like allure around this place. Plus, I love the name of it. Can we?
Yeah,
So
sure.
the Butcher, the name. First of all, I love the name, but can you just tell anybody out there that's watching this that's gone down Vanderbilt, an airport, and seen the Butcher? What is the Butcher, and how are you guys involved in this establishment?
Yeah, so when we were in the food industry in 2019 during COVID, 2019, 2020, Gulf Shore did a write-up on the businesses that are adapting the best in the area. And our business was one, and sales on Fifth Ave was the other. And the owner of the Butcher is the owner of sales on Fifth. And that's how we connected. We went and had dinner, spoke with Velco, and that's how our relationship started. Before closing down our business, I reached out to Velco to get some advice, because we were getting advice from different people. And it's interesting because everyone's advice is different, right? So we had some people tell us, don't close, like no matter what, don't close. And majority
And this is like 2 days, 3 days before we.
Yeah,
closed,
this
because
was
we
like
had to take a
this was
decision.
like a couple of days before.
Oh.
Yeah, and we so majority of people actually were saying don't close. And Velco was the first person. I went to a meeting and spoke with him at sales. It was like a 2-hour, almost 3-hour conversation that we had, and before opening up, and he was the first person to say close the business. He said, the value isn't on the business, the value is in you and your brother. And it wasn't really what I wanted to hear, the advice I wanted to hear, because in business, you think that business is your baby. And there is a fine line of good and bad between that, because sometimes you'll do anything to get that business to work, but you have to remember it's a business, right? And sometimes, like, business is supposed to put money in your pocket, not take money out of your pocket. And I know that there is a sacrificing time in the business, but essentially that's what you get into business for, is to create, provide a great service, great value, but to be good financially. And he was the first one that said, close it down. So after that meeting, when we did close down, he was the first one to call and say, hey, I'd like for you guys to come to sales, and while I go open up Butcher, and like to join him. And I thought I didn't know what Butcher was going to be. I thought it was just going to be another a restaurant.
What is it? I still don't know what it is.
Private member club. But it's it 100% is in the area the highest level of hospitality and service to the extreme, because the clientele that he is servicing is the biggest CEOs of the biggest companies and the biggest founders of companies. And you're talking hundreds, thousands of employee companies. And with that, there's comes a big level of responsibility of how you're going to cater to that type of clientele. So that's essentially that's what Butcher is. It's a place where
So it's a membership-based restaurant, if you will. It's you say club, but it's food
Yes.
and drink. So if you want to have access to this high white glove service, I imagine, restaurant and bar, eatery, you need to pay an initiation and probably a yearly, just like joining a golf course,
Oh yeah.
to even have access to eat in here.
Yeah, nobody
It's for the
has access.
exclusivity.
Yeah.
Is really what's
Wow, I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that place.
And it's so mysterious. It's a mysterious
is.
place. Like I told them, we had the opportunity to go in, and you know, I'm just gonna say it's an amazing place, and we'll leave it there because we're keeping the magic there. But even when we're walking and having a conversation, and the way you get treated, I told Velko, I was like, man, I love the psychology you have behind this place. You know, how you open the doors, how you walk in, how you sit. He knows how to play those games that I think he's just doing an amazing job.
Now, do they train that in-house or?
they have a big so that definitely comes from Velko.
Yeah.
If you go to, we went to brunch on sales on 5th, and first time going to their brunch, but since we've met Velko, he was telling us you have to come try out the brunch. And we recently went. If you just focus on how they're moving within that place, they're jam-packed every Sunday, and the whole place, every employee, your drink starts to get a little low, they don't even ask. You turn and you have a brand new drink. It's such high level of service. If you really pay attention to it, you really value what they're doing, because it's very difficult to do what he's doing. It's you have to live, eat, and breathe that type of business and that type of service. You can't just fake that, or that is really tough. And then you have to get everybody on board. I think he's around like 150 or 200 employees, something like that. And he was telling us, I went from, and he knows the exact numbers, but I went from 27 to 50, back down to 30 to 70. Like, he knows what it took to grow that type of culture, because it's very difficult to, especially in the food industry, to find very difficult to find people that believe in that type of vision.
Well, it's even easier to ruin it, because if you get one person there that starts, dragging feet, that can get contagious. Conversely, if everybody's game recognizes game. But wow, what a good sales referral for sales, because I don't even know what type of food they have at this brunch, but I want to go because I appreciate high-end customer service. I want to go just to experience this customer service.
Food is amazing.
I would recommend it. We were talking about it when we were having brunch there, and my nieces were there, my brother's daughters, and we were talking. I told him, can you imagine, when they get to an age, you bring them to learn, if as their first job, or even if it's just cleaning tables at a place like this, you're at an advantage, because you start to really understand. I think that hospitality and the service space, it's tough, because it doesn't, from the top, it doesn't trickle down how it should. And then you get a bad service at a lot of places, and we're kind of okay with, the food's good, but the service is
not for me.
Whatever.
I will go back to a place if the food is okay, but the service is top notch.
I think everyone should check this place out and just pay attention to the type of service you're getting. It's nothing.
I'm going.
There's nothing like it.
But he's not only like that with the restaurant. He's like that in person. Like, everything that we're doing together, we take so many takes to put final product out. Like that video for the butcher, it was like a 3-minute video, or
It was
probably longer than that, and we condensed it to 40 seconds. But just looking at detail, he spends tons of time just looking for details, and we got to like we're as we work together, we're learning, his vision and matching it with our vision, because he will ask us a lot what we think, and let us use our creativity too. But putting those two together, I think it's like the perfect mix for a stunning product, man. It's crazy, and we have a lot of things coming up that
a lot of cool things.
A lot of cool things.
2024.
And he makes himself accessible to you guys. It sounds like this guy's like a real high-end professional, but humble enough to talk to anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that you guys aren't anybody,
No.
but 2
No,
hours.
but no, you
he gave
nailed
you
it.
2 hours
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
tell you to quit your job. I mean, that's
He's one of those that will spend. He's not on time, right? It's almost like he blocks his time and he works, and I like that. He's never in a hurry, at least never with us. We like. I remember when he reached out, he sent me a text at 12 a.m. and I'm always working, so I sent him a text at 12:03, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's meet tomorrow." He came to the office. Actually, I went to the butcher, and we spent like 2 hours, 3 hours there.
is it beautiful in there? The finishes
Yeah.
and everything.
It's
next level.
Yeah, there's nothing around like that here. I can say that.
How long before you guys join?
I don't know. That's crazy what he's doing. But when we were in the food industry, I remember I went to sales once, and I went through the kitchen, because we've been through every single place, kitchens, like country clubs everywhere. And I remember I told my brother, I'm like, I just went to the cleanest kitchen I ever been in my entire life.
Oh,
And
This
I
was
like, that's
before
it.
knowing
Yeah,
about
before knowing
sales
him.
or anything,
Yeah.
about the write-up or anything.
can you see the kitchen from the dining room into the kitchen, or is it blocked off?
I think it's part of it, right? Part of it you can
I
see.
think a little part you can see.
Because it's interesting that you say that. If I go back in my head now and think about the restaurants that I enjoy at eating the most, I'm kind of like an instinctual eater. Like, you could have the best food in the industry, but if I come in here and there's spider webs hanging from
Yeah.
right above me, I can't get myself to enjoy that.
Right.
I enjoy eating at places where I can see the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It puts me at ease.
Yeah.
True Food's one of them.
Yeah.
Place is clean. It's immaculate. Regardless of what you think of the food, I don't have to think about what's happening with the food. I can see it.
Right.
It gives me a satisfaction almost of like puts me at ease.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I think they go through like 6 or 7 layers before any dish comes out, something like that he mentioned.
Yeah. They test out things a lot.
Double check and
Yeah, like through, I think it's like 6 or 7 people before he gets to you.
well, I'm gonna be going. Is it hard to get into this brunch? Is it usually sold out, or can you make reservations?
They're busy, but I think you can make
You
the
can
reservation.
make the reservations.
We can name drop you guys. Maybe we get a little. Here's a little $20 bill on the back door.
Yeah. You'll have a great time. You'll have a great time.
That's cool.
I 100% recommend it.
How about charity work, you guys? You work. Is there charities that you guys want to talk about that you're a part of, or that you're raising awareness for?
Right now, well, we have worked with a few charities. Last year, we worked a lot with Justin Swaggerty Aviation Foundation.
Yeah.
Helped out with their events, their digital marketing. We also helped out, well, that foundation.
The League Club.
Yeah, the League Club is another one. They do Naples tables, I believe, at the Ritz, and they've been around for a long time. I think since, I don't know, 30 years or so
for a
in
long
Naples
time.
for a long time. So we've worked with them, but we're always some way or another kind of involved with some type of charity work, whether that's helping out on the programming side or on the advertising side. Naples definitely moves a lot with charities.
Yeah, and I think
connected
it's
to it.
important to give back to the community too, as you're getting success, to also make sure that you give back as much as you can. Not only because it's good for business, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
What about, let's talk about the Naples Princess event that's coming up that we're going to see each other on.
Yeah.
What is this event?
Yeah, well, it's a networking event, and the event
On the Naples Princess, which I'm excited to do.
Yeah.
I just reached out to the CFO, I saw her on LinkedIn to come on the podcast of the Naples Princess.
Jenny?
Oh, yeah.
Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's going to be a networking event.
It's a networking event. The event is called Exchange 3. And the reason why this would be our third one, the reason why we put that name on it is because we're really encouraging people to exchange contacts, at least with 3 people. And the reason why is I think there's a lot of networking events around, but sometimes they get clingy and a little awkward. Like, people go to connect and get relationship value from it, but it's hard to make that first step, right? Especially if you're outside of your comfort zone, if it's not something that you've ever done. So with these Exchange 3 events that we're putting on, January 20th is the third one on the Naples Princess. Our team and everybody on our team already knows, hey, make sure you're connecting people. So if you see somebody that's not connecting, or go up to them, talk to them a little bit, and then go find somebody and connect them with. Like, be the middle person between people, so that people know that we're going there for a reason, and it's for relationship capital. So
I'd like to cut you off here and tell you something real quick, especially to share with the folks that are with you that are going to this event. In 2003, when we opened this business, before social media started, we would go to events every night. You had your Chamber of Commerce events and your CBI events and Home Builder. There's events every night. But the Chamber events were exactly what you said. They were usually the same people, and they were cliques, and it was just hard to kind of feel like you were being welcomed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget Trish Leonard. Trish Leonard, if you're watching, thank you. We still talk about her every day when we talk about networking events. She was part of the Bonita Chamber of Commerce, and this woman would go out of her way when she recognized there was a new member to introduce this member to everybody that she knew, which was everybody. But she did such a good job at making it not uncomfortable and very professional and productive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she was known for. Like, Trish Leonard will introduce you to people, and that never left us. Still to this day, if she called and needed anything, we would do it, because at the beginning, when we knew nobody, she was going out of her way to make sure that we felt comfortable and got to know the people that we should be knowing, or at least she thought we should be knowing in our industry, because we didn't know anybody. And that never left us to this day. So if any of your people take that role half as serious as she did, they will just know they will never be forgotten, especially if it's somebody that's just getting into the industry or just moved to this area. People are afraid sometimes to approach somebody else, and having that kind of liaison or consigliere, if you will, to make those introductions is something that goes unnoticed but has a massive impact.
Oh, yeah.
A massive impact.
Yeah. That's why we talk about it with everybody before the events at the office, and we just say, remember that
people are scared sometimes to go.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
went through a time where you didn't want to go talk to people because human beings are all like that, and sometimes you just need someone else just to kind of help you out or show you the way.
Yeah.
100%.
And it can unlock a massive opportunities for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's definitely, and sometimes at networking events, you think that you have to target a certain person. And it's great to just connect with everybody and anybody, because I think that it's being a little short vision when you're thinking about that can be a possible client of mine, as opposed to, let me just connect with this person and see what opportunity or what type of value I can provide down the road, or they can provide to me. And it may not even be with the business that you're in right now. So that's why we're really pushing relationship capital at these networking events.
Yeah.
There's a saying that, do you know what the difference between a contact and a contract is?
The R, right?
Yeah, and the R stands for relationships. The more relationships you make on your contacts, the more likelihood you have of getting more contracts.
Yeah.
So I think, relationship capital is massive. I think that's cool.
It's a way to grow.
Yeah.
Way to grow. We met this year we were talking on the podcast before this one. We met so many people this year, man. It's been like never before.
Through the podcast in
Through-
particular?
Through everything.
Through
I
everything.
think.
Do you
everything.
find that the relationships that you make through the podcast have a tendency to be stronger than just the first time meeting at
Oh,
a
yeah.
networking event?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
did too.
Yeah, 100%. You just like keep that connection. It's easier to talk to those people. It's so even if we can't do anything, like if we can't work together, you at least know that I'll be there for you, you know? And we tell, that's what we tell them when shut off the cameras. We're like, hey, look, anything you need, let us know. We'll help you out. And I think that's a big, once we say that, it opens up a whole set of different doors, you know, in the sense of, okay, now I not only have someone that might be able to help me with my business, but I also have like a person that I can go to in case I need something that has nothing to do with business.
Well, I am extremely grateful that I was able to meet both of you and your wives or future wife. Congratulations, by the
Thank
way,
you.
on joining the club. Where can everybody find you if they have a small business, medium-sized business, large business, but they want to maybe implement a funnel or calibrate their current funnel and they're just looking for some non-biased outside intel, or they want to go on this networking event? How can people find you and where should they be looking?
Yeah, I mean, they can go to any of our websites. I'll say that there's always something that we can do for them in terms of awareness or in terms of a funnel, in terms of online presence, in terms of anything they need online. So they can find us at rcmgnaples.com, gtmediaxdesign.com, and they can visit our digital magazine, which is naplestonight.com.
I love that. It's all over my feed on Instagram. The pictures are usually sexy. A lot of good. I think it's just good-looking people that are on that too. I mean, everybody that comes across looks like a model on here.
I think we're with that model, we're trying to really push positive stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
It's encouraging. When I see them, like, I just want to get up and go dance somewhere. It's just the lights are good. Everybody's always dressed nice. So that's really cool. We
And it's
appreciate.
it's built from the community. So like, you know, every single picture, we have someone in the team that it's asking for the picture, for the permission, and it's really that community building that page. And in the events, you know, we put out an event, we don't really know anybody that, you know, we're sending the invitations unless they came to the podcast or someone close. But the majority, we meet them at the event.
That's so cool. Well, again, really appreciate you guys' time. I didn't think an hour and 20 minutes would go by this fast, but I'm grateful that you were able to make time. And I was also grateful to meet both of you. And I'm excited to see where this relationship goes.
Likewise. Thank you so much for
We really
inviting us
appreciate it.
to this. Thank you.
Cool, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
And good luck with the wedding. Let us know where it is so we can crash it. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.